Hi! The election results are finally in after a bit of a stressful period, and I'm here to clarify any confusion or uncertainty you might still have about the results. It's just been announced Joe Biden has won the election. He's the least popular candidate in U.S. history, yet has somehow received the most amount of popular vote in U.S. history. Joe Biden will definitely be your next president of the United States. Unless something happens with the lawsuits that the Trump campaign has already filed in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, and Georgia alleging fraudulent vote counting. If there was fraud in the vote count and it's discovered in the recount, then if President Trump proves to have the deciding number of votes in truth, then he'll be awarded with the election win. However, if there was fraud in voting in these states and a recount is ordered, but the fraud was in illegal ballots being dropped off and not in the actual vote count, then a recount will result in the same fraudulent vote count, and Joe Biden will be your next president. But the Trump campaign's lawsuits are unlikely to be successful because providing provable factual evidence of voting fraud would be very difficult. So recounts might not even be granted in some states. It is worth noting, though, that Georgia's Secretary of State has already ordered a recount. Georgia's 16 electoral votes that originally went to Biden could be awarded to Trump, which would not change the election results because it still wouldn't give him the 270 votes that are necessary. So Joe Biden would continue to be your next president of the US. Unless, of course, the US Supreme Court decides in the Pennsylvania case that sits in front of it that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that allowed late arriving ballots to be counted violated the US Constitution. In that case, those votes would be thrown out. And if it's enough to swing it into Trump's favor, then Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes would be awarded to Trump. And Biden would still win the election, because those 20 votes still wouldn't be enough to give Trump the win. But they would be when combined with Georgia's 16 electoral votes if that recount lands in Trump's favor. But remember, only if highly controversial Nevada is overturned and given to Trump as well. But he wouldn't need Nevada if the wild card of Arizona that was called suspiciously early for Biden ends up going to him after all the votes are counted and recounted. Pretty straightforward, right? But of course, with today's election results being official, it doesn't mean they're certified. If the results aren't certified by the inauguration deadline in January, then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi becomes president. However, it's very unlikely that the election results won't be certified by then. But then again, with all the lawsuits being filed by the Trump campaign, not to mention any countersuits filed by the Biden campaign if any of the results are overturned, it's fair to say the election results stand a decent chance of not being certified by the deadline in January. And then Nancy Pelosi would indeed be the next president of the United States. But if that doesn't happen, when it's all said and done, after all the recounts are in, if Trump and Biden end up tied with 269 certified electoral votes each, then the newly elected House will select the next president, and the Senate will select the vice president out of the 3 leading candidates. If that were to happen, then the Democrat-controlled House would pick Joe Biden to be the next president, and the Senate's pick for vice president would likely be President Trump. Seriously. And then if President Biden were to die, then President Trump would be the next president. However, assuming Biden keeps the election win through the inauguration in January and becomes the president, then shortly after taking office, Kamala Harris becomes the next president, when Biden shockingly becomes unfit for service. You might remember Kamala Harris. In the recent election, she ran for president under the pseudonym Joe Biden. There you have it! The 2020 election is officially done. You can put your mind at ease with all this clarity. It's now safe to remember to be scared of COVID again. Get this piece of junk out of my way. Do you know what doesn't stress me out anymore? Blue light. That's why I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Blue Blocks, my favorite evidence-based blue light blocking glasses. Now, science shows, and I apologize if you're a science denier, but science shows that blue light from phones, screens, computers, indoor lighting at night interferes with sleep hormone production, which means you don't get as good a sleep, you wake up the next day with less energy, and your health and fitness start to suffer because of it. That's why I wear blue blocks every night. I just put them on as the sun's going down, and I know I'm protected from blue light, so I can get great sleep and wake up the next day with great energy and have optimal health and fitness. Even if you voted blue, you're still allowed to block blue light. Your vote still counts. And if you voted red, you're allowed to block blue light too. If you want to join me in blocking blue light so you can optimize your health, energy, and fitness, then just go to blueblocks.com/JP and get 15% off by using the discount code JP.